Hi guys, this is Emma and today I'm going to be talking about episode 10 of Twin Peaks part 10, which was called Laura is the One. I thought I'd just do a very quick video talking about some of the things I didn't mention in my initial reaction. I do have a Richard theory that I would like to discuss first. I keep kind of going on about Richard, but I feel like he must be a very important character, given that he is mentioned by the giant in the first scene of Twin Peaks. And I do think that scene is going to come back around. So I think that that scene was a scene of Agent Cooper after he's come out of the Dougie persona. And I think eventually we are going to get back there, and Cooper needs to take some kind of action against Richard and Linda. That's why Richard is such an important part of this story, and that's why I can't stop thinking about why he is the way he is. In this episode we saw him commit some terrible crimes. In regards to Richard's relationship with the Hornes, we have seen everyone in that family but Audrey Horne, who I assume is his mother. And the fact that they didn't mention Audrey at any time in this episode was disturbing to me, because I think that is one of the initial things that you might think or say if a young boy or a young man was acting like this. You might say, well, get on the phone to his mother, you know, get in contact with Audrey, try and get her involved. But there was none of that. It was all through the grandparents, and it gave me a sense that Audrey, if she is alive, must have disowned Richard, must have had a hell of a life with him. Or another possibility is that Audrey has lifelong injuries from the bank blast, and because of this her parents have been involved in Richard's upbringing, and they feel like they owe Audrey a debt in some way to look after her son because she can't do it herself, because she's been hurt. Another possibility, I think, is that Audrey is actually dead. Now I know that some people disagree with this because of the fact that in the secret history of Twin Peaks and on the show itself we've heard that Audrey survived the bank blast and that she was actually in a coma. But what I don't think has ever been said is that Audrey survived for the full 25 years. The material in the secret history of Twin Peaks seemed to focus on a period immediately after Audrey had survived the bank blast, and it didn't specify her injury at the time, but we now know she was in a coma from Doc Hayward. She may still be in that coma, we don't know. I don't think we've ever had any indication that Audrey is alive and well. And it's certainly not looking good for me because of the fact that she is conspicuously absent from that family and from the life of her son. But another theory I had after watching this, I was just thinking, what is Richard? Basically, every time I was seeing him on screen in this last episode, I was thinking, what is he? Is he a human? Is he like affected by the drugs that are running through Twin Peaks? Is he evil Coop's son and that's why he is inherently evil? Or is there something else? Is he actually inhabited by a spirit like Bob? And then I kind of linked that up with, I was having a chat on Facebook this week with another fan, and they pointed out to me that there were certain cast members who haven't yet appeared in Twin Peaks, and one of those was Monica Bellucci. I completely forgot that she was actually going to appear in the series, actually, because there were so many people on that initial cast list that was released. And the fact that she is quite a well-known actress made me start to think about Linda and the possibility that Linda is in fact an inhabiting spirit, and that Linda is the one who is inhabiting Richard. Having a female inhabiting spirit may explain the kind of changes that we see in Richard compared to Bob and Leland, whereas Bob in Leland was kind of secretive and hiding his existence. Richard seems overtly evil and openly aggressive to everyone, and as if he's not trying to hide who he is, which is kind of strange. You'd think that if he did have an inhabiting spirit inside him, that he would be working to try and... Sorry about that. So what I was saying was, you'd think that an inhabiting spirit, a parasitic creature, would try and prolong their existence by keeping themselves secret, in the same way a tick on a body might conceal itself in thicker fur. You know what I mean? Why, if Linda was an inhabiting spirit of Richard? Would she be showing her colours? And maybe that's something to do with gender, maybe I don't know, it could be something to do with that. I don't know, but it would be interesting if Monica Bellucci was playing Linda, who was inhabiting Richard, and she was controlling him. That would be an interesting statement about gender stereotypes, I think, given that, you know, I tend to think we think of... Sorry. I can totally see Monica Bellucci playing that part of an evil spirit. This led me back to thinking about Bob, basically, and it got me thinking about episode 8, where we saw that couple of children who were about to go on a date. And I was wondering if, when those eggs, because there were many, we saw in the vomit of the experiment, or the mother figure, we saw many eggs. What if whichever human inhabitant these creatures first assumed, went inside of, could this couple be Bob and Linda, and they are actually male and female equivalents? I just thought it was an interesting theory, because of the fact that that would fit in with the Giant's phrase about 2 birds with 1 stone, if Linda was in fact with Richard. That mention of a Linda we had could have been a redirect or a red herring. So another thing I wanted to talk about was Diane. After watching the episode initially, I thought that the implication was that Diane was working with Evil Coop. Having watched that scene again with Albert explaining that he had intercepted Diane's text messages, I feel that what they are trying to say is that Diane has actually gone out on her own and is trying to take down Evil Coop without the assistance of the rest of the FBI, and perhaps what she said about Hastings was not actually factual and just something that she's texted to Evil Coop to try and get him interested and to try and make him think that something was happening that really wasn't. I think that Diane is the kind of personality type that she would possibly take the initiative herself to get things done, and I think that she is invested so much in Cooper that she probably has so much anger against Evil Coop as well, given their conversation in the jail, that she would go to any lengths to see him punished and to see his downfall. So I'm not believing at this stage that Diane is actually evil. I think that the consternation in that scene from Gordon Cole and Albert is because Diane is branching off on her own and trying to take down Evil Coop herself. So that was an interesting scene with Gordon and Albert when Albert came to the hotel room and Gordon had a vision of Laura. Kind of strange vision to start with. I didn't particularly think the effects were done that well, but putting that aside, I thought it was very cryptic that Gordon Cole was having the vision and he didn't mention it to Albert. He didn't say anything about it. He just had this moment where he seemed to be digesting what had just happened, but he wasn't ready to fully disclose the whole vision to Albert yet. I also thought that was a strange photo that they brought in of Evil Coop at the loft in New York with the box, because it appeared that Evil Coop was actually inside the box, and this guy who was wearing kind of a scientist's jacket, I would say, who was looks to be conducting some kind of experiment, seems to be on the outside of the box. Does this confirm that Evil Coop is actually the billionaire? I think that's a good possibility, and I also think this could link back to Laura and what happened to Laura when we saw her inside the Black Lodge with Good Coop. Laura seemed to be kind of sucked away somewhere, and I think that she was actually being sucked out into the box. I think that she has been brought out into the world, and perhaps she may be able to send that vision of herself to Gordon Cole in the same way that Cooper was having visions of Laura in Fire Walk with Me just prior to her death, I think, when Albert was quizzing Cooper on who was going to be the next victim and Cooper was able to have visions. Was this vision actually sent by Laura? Does Laura have that kind of power? We know that she might have this kind of special force because of the fact that she was created to counteract Bob. So I think that's a plausible theory, that maybe Laura is somewhere out in the world now that she's been sucked out into that box by Evil Coop, and that she's trying to get the message across to those who might be able to help her. So it was a very interesting speech that the log lady had in the episode ending. She was talking to Hawk. Did anybody else get the feeling that she might be counselling Hawk and possibly telling him that his end was near? Because I got that sense when she said about the Truman brothers and they have been with you sort of all your life, almost as if she was reiterating what had been good in his life, confirming that Hawk was a good man and that he had a heroic status perhaps, and that his role in this next part of the story might be one of self-sacrifice, or that he might be facing some great danger to come. She talked about the dying of the electricity and about what might be left in the darkness once the electricity has died out. I think her speech reflects what is happening in Twin Peaks in this episode, in that we see that growing darkness in the town. We see this expansion of darkness taking over the town, taking over youth, taking over people's lives. Is the log lady trying to say that the spirits who once used electricity as a form of travel or communication no longer need to do that because their evil is out in the open and they are out in the world among us? Hawk definitely seemed somber in that moment when the log lady was talking to him. I do wonder if Hawk might be the person who gives his life for Laura, gives his life for the goodness that she embodies and that needs to be brought back into Twin Peaks and the rest of the world. Anyway, that's just some random thoughts, and sorry if this has been a bit rambly and a bit interrupted by the postman. I wasn't planning to do this video today, and I haven't really thought about what I was going to say before I started, so I apologise if it's a bit mixed up. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next episode. I hear there are spoilers coming out about episode 11 already because of the fact that it's going to be shown this week to Comic-Con attendees. So if you do find out anything about the episode, please don't post it in the comments, because I think we all should be surprised about what's to come. And yeah, just one more thing before I go, and that is, I did get the sense in this episode when I was watching some of the scenes, perhaps the ones at Las Vegas with Candy, because her scenes seem to take up a lot of time in this episode, and I did find myself wondering, is this really what I want to see, or would I appreciate more scenes with the characters that I know in Twin Peaks? And I have to say that I did sort of have a leaning towards wanting those characters of Twin Peaks rather than this stuff with these brand new characters. I just feel like maybe we haven't been spending enough time in Twin Peaks. I'm just starting to feel like perhaps we're not going to get enough time with the characters of Twin Peaks that we knew from seasons 1 and 2, and I'm starting to worry about that just slightly, because from what I've seen of them, I really want to be spending more time with them. I want to see more of Ben, I want to see more of Lucy and Andy, I want to see more of Shelley and Norma. I mean, they've only had like very short scenes. I mean, we haven't even delved into Norma's life, have we? We haven't found out anything about her or her situation, and I get the feeling that maybe we're not going to. Maybe that these characters are just going to be pillars of the Twin Peaks society that we knew, and that the actual story is going to be more concerned about Laura and good and / evil Cooper. Thanks for watching this rambling video today. And you can subscribe if you like, and you can also leave a comment below to tell me what you thought of anything I've said today, or any theories that you might have before episode 11 starts. And that's it. Bye.